All right, recording has started, and this is the June 14th, 2022 Rook community meeting. So we will jump into our milestones and recent patch releases and upcoming releases as well. So last week, there were two different patch releases that were done. There's a 1.8.10 and a 1.9.5 that were completed. I have updated or added links to the release notes for both of those here, 1.8.10 and 1.9.5. So you can catch up with all of the specific fixes that were included into those two patch releases that went out on the same day on June 9th. Blaine, is there anything specific that you want to call out or and make special note of for what was included in the 1.8.10 and 1.9.5 patch releases?
I don't think so. I was also coming off of a vacation, but I think it's mostly just bug fixes. Let me take a look at the tag here in 1.9, since that's likely to be kind of more important things. Oh yeah, one of the things was the telemetry work is I guess about half done from the Rook side. I think the work in Ceph is done as well. So Ceph version 17.2.1 should now have Rook telemetry collected from it, as long as users enable the telemetry module.
Nice, awesome. And so is this the first release then that has like deeper telemetry stuff available, as long as it's enabled? Yeah, the first one.
From the Rook side, yes. So Ceph has had a telemetry module for I think a couple versions now, and we talked about getting Rook information into it, and basically figured out that there's not really a good heuristic for determining what is a Rook cluster in Ceph. So we decided to go about like actually specifically identifying Rook clusters, and then also adding some information that's potentially relevant, like what version of Rook is running, what version of Kubernetes is underlying it, and things like that, that hopefully could help us kind of see user patterns.
Yep. Yeah, we had been talking about adding that in recently, and I think that's super helpful to understand the field a little bit better and get that insight. So yeah, I'm glad that that's in there. I think it's really useful and helpful. Awesome. Now go ahead, Blaine.
Oh yeah, I think there's one other important update in 1.9.5 is the Ceph CSI version changes to 3.6.2. And similarly, along with that, we are, if users don't enable host networking for CSI, then we start using what we've called like the holder pod pattern to make sure that basically that the IP address is stable for the kernel mounts for CephFS and RBD. That we can keep like a stable network interface and to still also allow us to update the CSI plugin pods.
Awesome. Cool. That's great, Blaine. Anything else to call out then from 1.9.5, or anything that was unique to 1.8.10 to also call out?
Let me look really quickly at 1.8.10.
It's a shorter list there.
It looks like it also does, it reports the basic Rook version telemetry, but not the larger like bit of telemetry, which was kind of more baked in. Yeah, otherwise I think just a few small bug fixes.
Got it. All right. Sounds good. And then, yes, we are in the cycle for 1.10 as well. I think it's kind of a bit early still on that one. I think that the release is not, it's tentatively scheduled in August. So there's still plenty of time going on through June and July, and then into August before we get there. A quick call out that, the roadmap had been updated with the high level areas of focus for 1.10. So you can check that out within the roadmap.md file and for some of those details there. There is also a project board for 1.10 that is staying up to date as well. Oops, now I got my Zoom thing halfway between one monitor and another. I don't know what I've done to myself. This might not be a good thing. Now I can't drag it. Okay, so it's stuck in between monitors. It's off in the Netherlands. So 1.10, though, it's the start of the project board that will be tracking the items that we'll be investing in and progressing across the board to be included into the 1.10 release. So you can follow along with progress on the roadmap items on this 1.10 project board as well. Blaine, anything specific that you want to call out for 1.10 or some of the investments there?
Let me take a look. Yeah, so we will be removing Ceph Octopus support. This keeps up with our trend of generally supporting 2 versions of Ceph and having a version of Rook that supports 3 usually during the transition between versions. Trying to just call out the things that are particularly notable. Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning these CephX account differentiation. So this is something that we're trying to get away from using client.admin everywhere and using a more restricted Rook user so that it can't necessarily do everything, just to help kind of tighten things down a little bit. Yeah, there's also there's a very old issue that we've just kind of slowly over time been able to get more information from and get more information about how node fencing works in Ceph, and we're hoping to do some work on that, and that's related to 1507, like an order of magnitude away from where we are now in the 10,000.
Yeah, that is a really old issue that has definitely been around for a long time. Blaine, and I haven't, I've seen the updates on the issue there, but I'm not quite sure exactly where we landed on that one. Do you know, do you have more details to share about what the investment will be in the 1.10 timeframe for that area of problems that have been, challenging to solve for a couple of years now?
It is effectively, I think, going to involve, it's effectively done from the CSI level. So CSI has or at least there's a CSI add-ons project that we also are using to add on some features to the Ceph CSI, and one of them is network fencing. And so I think this will involve Rook automatically creating network fencing resources, so custom resources that inform the Ceph CSI, which then coordinates with Ceph when a particular node should be fenced off and not used. And that allows Ceph to know, okay, there's this Kubernetes node, it's not responding. And because it's not responding, there's no way to gracefully unmount what is currently mounted on the node.
Mm-hmm.
And that allows the Ceph and the kernel clients to remount on a different node with the understanding that if the unavailable node does come back online, it won't pick up where it left off because it's now fenced. Is the short of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's yeah, I think one of the challenges with this issue is determining where in the stack it could be successfully solved and approached. So I know there's been a lot of discussion on it, and I'm really excited to see that there's some progress in an area where we think that an investment can be made to make an improvement. So that's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, it definitely it's been for me. I mostly been kind of watching. It's been really enlightening to see kind of the various ways where it's like, no, this fails because of this, or this fails because of this, and it's really just a classical distributed systems kind of problem. But no one ever has a real great answer or the same answer every time. Yeah, the other kind of big thing happening in 1.10 is kind of along with Ceph is there's a little more investment on the object storage side of things. I think that's something that the Ceph project is seeing more users really interested in, and also particularly interested in for like cloud providers, even like AWS. And I think the very short and sweet of it is that they a lot of times just don't like kind of the failover patterns of what's going on with the cloud providers, that it takes too long, and Ceph is faster and the Ceph object is consistent. And that also involves like doing some server-side encryption, some vault, like vault key management service integration, and what Ceph uses for multi-site replication, which is Rails Gateway multi-site. It's kind of the catch-all term we have for that. So there are a number of changes for the object store kind of coming in, and then also a continued focus on NFS from my side. I think we're going to be trying to look at figuring out how to get like LDAP integration working with NFS, and figure out how that relates to Rook, document that, and implement that if appropriate in Rook. Yeah, also news, so we currently have the object bucket claims, which were a sort of prototype of what is now COSI, which is the container object storage interface. That is now, I think, officially going to make it into Kubernetes 1.24. I don't know if with the other work we quite have time to implement that right off the bat, but that is something that we have the option to do, and it has been on our minds for a very, very long time.
Yep, understood. Awesome. Yeah, and I think it's great that we're so these investments we're making for object store related stuff, object storage. That's definitely cool that we're seeing an increased demand from the user base and wanting to have more usage of object storage, and so responding to that with some investments on the side of improving object storage support is great to see. All right, sweet. So that's the 1.10 stuff, in addition to how we covered the 1.8 and 1.9 patch releases. So be on the lookout for more progress on 1.10 and an early August release for that. The only other note we've got here in the agenda doc today is around there's the KubeCon North America, the CFP closed for proposals in the general sense like a week or two ago, but the maintainer track is open until July 11th for CNCF projects such as Rook to submit a short proposal for what they want to cover in their maintainer track sessions. So we'll definitely follow up on that and make sure that that is submitted so that we can be part of the maintainer track sessions at KubeCon. And potentially that might be the first one that we'll be able to do in person, when we haven't done that in a while. In person, we did the last one for Europe as a virtual recording as well. So that would be great if we could be able to do this one once again in person too. So we have about a month to follow up on that, and we certainly will follow up on that and make sure we get in there. Cool. Any other agenda items that did not make it into the agenda that we want to discuss still? All right. Well, if that is all the items we wanted to discuss, then we can go ahead and adjourn for this session, and we'll see each other on Slack and online then.
All right, thanks, Jared.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Bye.
Yeah, bye.